So good morning, everybody. My thought for you today has evolved a little bit since earlier in the week, but it's still on the same concept. So if you were in class earlier in the week, you heard me talking about pandas. I may mention them again, but slightly different direction. Talking about compassion. That's where my mind is this week. That's where my heart is this week. And I came across the other day one of those kind of nice things that you can still find on the internet if you look hard enough. And it was just one of those things that asked you to like go back and look at one of your past incarnations of yourself. And it was literally, if you could give 3 words of advice to your previous self, what would they be? And so I thought, oh, that's a fun thing to think about is, in your past experience, what is the advice that you yourself would give to you now? And that was fun to think about for a little bit. But then where my mind immediately went to was, no matter what I would say to that previous self, I'm imagining what the response of my previous self would be to that advice. And my previous self's response to that advice was one that I thought probably wouldn't have been very nice, right? Because when we hear, right, the whole point of this idea of us progressing or this idea of us learning those deeper concepts of who we are and what life means to us is that you can't force it earlier than the realization happens, right? So who you are now, where you are now, in comparison to where you were at some previous time in your experience, is you can't pull them together artificially, right? So even if you were to give the best advice to your past self, can you guess what their reaction would be to that advice, right? And do you think that it would actually change anything that they would have done, right? Do you actually think it would have changed it? In my mind, I was thinking how funny it is that we think that we even have the thought that that's something that we can do by just, if we knew better, that somehow we would not have to go through the experience of learning, that we would not have to go through the experience of actually realizing the truth of what it is that we think that we know, right? And this is what they say in spiritual practice is we get caught up in, because we get caught up in the idea of what we know or the concept of what we know instead of the reality of realization, right? And the goal of a yoga practice, if there is a goal, is to realize the truth of who and what you are, to realize the truth, the nature of the world, the nature of the soul, the nature of how everything is interconnected. So if we're stuck on this concept of this is what I know, this is what I've figured out, this is what I've mastered, this is what I've gotten past, right? I could actually turn around and give someone advice about something because I know a little something. If we're caught in that, we're going to miss that real concept that is, what am I realizing as truth? And if I can live that reality of the truth that I've recognized, then I don't have to be limited by what I think I know or I don't know. Because what I feel is the reality of the truth is going to be far beyond anything that I could hold within my mind, right? So an interesting thing, if you could give yourself advice, your past self advice, what would it be? And then what would the reaction of your past self be to that advice, right? Because the learning curve or the experience of the realization has to be there. There has to be the struggle. There has to be the stumbles. There has to be the running into walls and saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing and being like, ow, that hurts, in order for us to understand the truth, right? So being in a place where you recognize that those stumbles, that progression, that reaching for a experience instead of just knowledge, that brings us back to a place of compassion. That brings us back to a place where we can look at everybody who's struggling in whatever way that they're struggling. And instead of going to, I want to give you advice so that you can do better, right? The way that I think I know is better. Instead of that, we can actually go to, wow, I see how you're struggling. And I know that I've struggled the same. And because I'm getting somewhere, I know I'm getting somewhere, I believe that you're going to as well. And I'm holding that for you, right? So what would happen if we started believing in the best of every single individual we came across, including us? We started believing in the best of us instead of looking back and saying, well, what could I have told you to get you to not fuck up so much, right? What would happen if we started looking at the world that way? That's compassion, as I look for what is the best in you, even if you are struggling terribly. And I believe that that is going to find its way out, that that is going to come up as a realization. So I'm holding the space for that. And I'm holding the space for that for me, and that's my practice. Is every day that I want to give myself advice, you could do better, stop screwing up. And I go back to, there's there's a goodness in me that is continuously being realized through those mistakes, through those stumbles. You can't skip it, right? Comfortable seat, let the eyes close. And fun for you if you haven't been in class this week that I mentioned pandas and wondering how did it go from pandas to this? Maybe I'll tell you, maybe I won't. But breathe deeply, please. Compassion is being in that state where you are reaching continuously for unity. You're reaching back behind you for those that are struggling more than you are. And you're reaching in front of you for those that you believe are struggling less. And it's the reaching to connect to both of those that keeps you in a place of openness. There's no accomplishing. There's no hierarchy. There's no winning and losing. So can you breathe your breath like that so that your inhale becomes the exhale, no pause. The exhale becomes the inhale, no pause. Let your breath become one continuous flow. And it's said that that enlightened state, or in meditation, that the state that you come into, the ecstatic state, is one without boundaries. Can you breathe yourself in a way where you do not put up boundaries between what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, how things should be, how they shouldn't be, how you are versus how you might be. Continuous breath. The inhale becomes the exhale, no pause. The exhale becomes the inhale, no pause. There's a trick to it. You have to stop trying to control the breath. At the same time, you have to get out of the habit of falling into the space between. We recognize that space on purpose to begin. Then we make it disappear, so that we realize again that unity means that you don't put up boundaries. You don't put up walls. It's not to say as human beings you don't have an understanding of where respect is or energy exchange. Deeper breaths, please. If you're still fidgeting, you got to breathe deeper. You don't feel a little drunk on your breath yet, you've got to breathe deeper. Good. And the next inhale rises completely, expand the ribs, expand your whole self with the breath. And then exhaling all the way out, drop everything, drop your mind. And bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Letting the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. Release your hands, please. Bring your hands to the front of your knees or your thighs, and then begin to cat-cow your spine, seated cat-cow. I highly recommend practicing that breath where there's no pause between the inhale and the exhale. Because understanding that concept of unity in our minds, of course, we can say, sure, I understand interconnectedness. Sure, I understand things being unified. Of course, I understand that there's only one breath and blah, blah, blah. But then you have to feel it. And how difficult was it for you to get out of that pause between the inhale and the exhale? How difficult is it to let yourself be in that continuous flow without trying to keep categorizing it, to keep trying to keep track of it? So the state that you're in as you continue to practice your spiritual practice is one that has fewer of those walls, it has fewer of those places where you are differentiating this versus that. and it feels awkward. Good. The peace that we're longing for, the enlightenment that we're longing for feels awkward. Move a little faster, please. So we have to have a longing for it to get past those places that feel so strange because we're not used to being in an undifferentiated state, in a unified state. We have to have a lot of patience for every time we consciously or unconsciously try and stop that undifferentiated flow. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Take the hands back behind the head. Good. Bring the elbows slightly forward so that you have a hollowing of your armpits, then push the head back into the hands so that you've got a strong line of your throat, and then twist to your right, please, keeping the hands behind the head. Good. So keep pressing the head back. Keep drawing the low ribs in and pressing back, and then draw into that navel, and from the very top of your right hip, pull back a little wider. So move yourself into the twist from the low part of your trunk. That's it. And then take left hand to the outside of your right knee, please. Good. Lean over that right thigh. Sorry, left thigh. My apologies. You're leaning over the left thigh. Yep, there you go. And then extend that right arm over your ear, please, reaching on the diagonal. And use that left hand on the right knee to really drag yourself into the twist a little bit more. So pull towards that thigh, but then pull your throat back. Good. Long fingers, long elbows. So really pull long through that arm. Nice, Diane. Good, Rosalind. Come all the way back up, please. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Good. Bend the elbows wide, hands behind your head. Again, elbows come slightly forward, so you're hollowing the armpits. Press the head back into your hands, twist to your left. Good. Nice, you guys. Ribs draw in. Keep pressing the head back. So Jeff, press your head back a little more. That's it. Nice, you guys. And then from that low part of your belly, from the top of your left hip, move your trunk wider. Go into the twist a little deeper. That's it. And then head back. Good. Right hand comes to outer left knee. Nice. Lean over that right thigh, please. You're leaning on the diagonal, and then take the left arm over the ear, reaching as long as you can. So again, no bent elbows. Keep reaching really, really long. So you're pulling through the whole side body. You're pulling through the whole armpit. Good. Ribs in. Don't let the head drop. Good. Drag yourself in towards that left thigh. Nice. Good, Jen. And then come all the way back up. Inhale, arms to the sky. Beautiful. And then release the hands down to the floor. Roll forward onto hands and knees, please. Do a little bit of hip circling just to wake the pelvis up. So moving the pelvis in big circles, little circles, whatever you like. Your own personal hula dance. Good. And then move yourself the other way, please. Nice. Good, and then come back to neutral spine. Spread your fingers wide, please. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. Good, then bend your knees a lot. Yep. So you drop the pelvis and then cat-cow your spine here. Inhaling, lifting through the upper chest. Exhaling, curling and pounding. Nice. Keep your hips moving back in space, though, you guys. Tendency here is when the knees drop as we start to push our way into our hands, because that feels like it's the more stable place. Keep your hips moving back and keep them dropping. So deep bend in the knees and then moving of the spine. Good. Right, it's important, this idea of removing those inner boundaries that we have to real unity, to the real realization of what it's like to be interconnected, to be undefined, or defined by the unity that you're in. In order to do that, right, you're unworking things in your own mind. It's going to get fatiguing. You're going to say, can't I just go back to the way that it was and just think of myself as a better person? No, you can't. Or you can, but that's not going to get you anywhere. Right? It's going to bring you right back to where you were. So don't get fatigued. Practice, practice, practice so that we work through that feeling of I'm too tired to actually be in a unified state. I'm too tired to change the way that my mind works. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Take your hips high to the sky. Come up on your tippy toes. Pull up. Yeah, squeeze your feet and your hands towards each other. Pull your ribs in. Pull your thighs up. Throat in line with your, ears in line with your upper arms. Good. And then let your heels soften towards the floor, but keep those hips lifting, lifting, lifting. Nice. Right leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, please. Lunge. Inhale the arms up to the sky. High lunge, please. Beautiful. Take your arms out wide to letter T, and then bring the arms across the body for, eagle arms. So the left arm crosses on top of the right in front of your chest. Wrap the forearms. Good. Pull your armpits back in space. Bend your back knee a lot. So bend your back knee as much as your front knee. And then pull that back thigh forward. Yep. As you pull the top of your right low belly back. So you're squaring the pelvis. And then lift the elbows just a little higher. Good. Feel your ribs draw in. Move your hands away from your face. Deep breath into that back side of your ribs. Good. Nice. And then press that back thigh to straight, please. Take the arms all the way around and up alongside your ears. Deep breath in. Good. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good job. Left hand plants, right arm to the sky. Good. Lean back onto that left hand a little bit more so that you can open the chest a little bit wider. There you go. And then release that right hand back down to the floor, please. Drop the back knee. Yep. And then move your hips back so your hips are right on top of that left knee. Wiggle your right leg forward to straight. Come up on the heel, Ardha Hanumanasana. Walk your hands forward. Use blocks if you'd like. Good. You know, first hamstring stretch. Half Hanuman. Why not? Good. Dig that heel down and drag back, you guys, so that it's like you're pulling the thigh bone up into the hip socket and you're tilting your pelvis, the front of your pelvis, slightly forward. It's going to send your inner thighs back. It's going to send your tailbone up and back. So I want you to do that. Focus on your pelvis here, that you're actually tilting your pelvis forward so that you can pull the inner thighs back, you can pull the tail back, and you can get into that feeling of lengthening your spine from the top of your sacrum. So pull up from the top of your sacrum. Good. Nice, you guys. Couple more breaths. Like 20 more breaths, that's all. Until you're fully relaxed. It's one of those moments, right, in a yoga posture that you have to get to that point where you are just relaxed where you are, whether you are as deep in it as you want to be or your muscles are completely comfortable, and it makes no difference. You relax your mind. I'm just here. Good. Literally one more breath. Pull those sit bones back and wide. Lift through the front edge of your back edge of your sacrum. Good. Walk your hands back in. Drag that heel back in, please. Good. And then lift the back knee up. Take that right leg up and back behind you to down dog split. That's it. Good. Bend the knee. Kick your heel in towards your butt, please. Stack the right hip on top of the left. Open, open, open. Yeah, draw the knee back just a little bit further so that you're getting that long line from your armpit all the way out through the tip of your knee. Good. And then scoop your belly, bring that knee facing back down towards the floor. Step the right foot between the hands, lunge. Good. Inhale the arms up to the sky, high lunge. Beautiful. Take your arms forward, torso forward, parallel to the floor. Step up, warrior three, please. Left leg comes parallel to the floor. And then bring your hands back behind your head, elbows wide. Good. Be grateful I let you have your hands out in front of you to get into the pose. Press your head up into your hands. Draw your ribs in, turtle your back. So push up through your back rib cage. That's it. Push up from that low space of your belly. Yeah. Heart reaches to the sky. Now extend the arms straight in front of you, full warrior three extension. Beautiful. And then step back to high lunge, arms to the sky, heart to the sky. That's it. And then hands down to the floor. Nicely done, you guys. Step back, downward facing dog. If you wobble a lot in high lunge, consider taking your feet wider to the right and the left. Your feet are probably a little too close to each other. Good. A little too narrow. Nice, you guys. Wiggle your hips a little bit. Bend your knees a lot. Drop your hips towards your heels. Good. And then scoop that belly, push your butt to the sky, rise up high on the balls of your feet, squeeze your feet towards your hands, pull everything up, up, up. So you should feel that in your armpits. You should feel that in your upper back, that you're squeezing through your arms so much. And then let your heels soften down towards the floor. Stay lifted in your pelvis. Left leg up and back, down dog split. Good. Jen G, watch that right side ribs aren't falling. Yeah, keep them up. There you go. Step that foot forward between the hands. Inhale the arms to the sky, high lunge. Good. And then take the arms out wide, letter T. And you're taking right arm on top of left in front of your chest. So cross the arms, right arm on top of left. Wrap the forearms like you would for eagle. Good. Move the hands slightly out away from your face so that there's almost that straight line between your wrists and your elbows. And then drag the lower armpits back. Good. And don't pop your ribs out. Nice. Good, you guys. Bend your back knee a lot. I knew there was something I was missing. Squeeze that back knee forward, please. So as the knee bends a lot, pull that back thigh forward, 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 and move your belly back away from your front thigh. Don't get fatigued in your shoulders. If you're squeezing yourself so hard that you just can't stand it anymore, keep pressing the forearms together, but relax. Good. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the arms. Chest lifted high. Beautiful. And then start to straighten the back thigh, please. Release the arms around and up. Deep breath in. I know. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Right hand plants, left arm to the sky, spinal twist. Fall onto that right hand a little bit more so that you can open the heart a little bit more, but don't let your hips push out to the left. So Mia, pull those hips back in towards the midline and then open your ribs more. That's it. Good, you guys. Throat back. Nice, Elisa. Nice back. Beautiful, you guys. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Good. Drop the back knee. Send your hip back on top of that knee. Wiggle the left leg forward to straight. Come up on the heel. Good. Again, using blocks if you'd like. I want you to walk your hands forward so that you're coming towards that front ankle. Good. Ardha Hanumanasana. Dig that heel down and drag back. So it's like you're pulling the thigh up, up, up into the pelvis. Good. That pulling back is going to help take some of the intensity out of that hamstring stretching. Good. And then I want you to relax. I want you to tilt the front of the pelvis slightly forward. Send your groins back. Send your inner thighs back. Lift the tail up so that you get more of a sense of I can elongate my sacrum, the back of my pelvis. Do not concentrate on trying to get lower into a split. Good. This is the pose, half split. There is nowhere to go from here. You're not fully comfortable in this position. Why would you wish for something else? It's a trick in your life, right? If you're not able to be fully comfortable in the moment that you're in, why do you think you're going to be able to master that skill in a different moment? Compassion, this is where I am. And I can see the whole spectrum of where I've been and where I might be, where I hope I will be, and I'm reaching in all of those directions. I am not in denial of any piece of my world. Unified, it's what it means. You are unified with everything, it means everything. There's not one single thing you get to deny. You can understand the truth of it, not its passing experience, but the truth. If I keep talking, do you forget your hamstring? Yeah. Keep breathing, please. Try to keep with that unified breath. Interesting to do while you're practicing. Just don't fall into the trap of there is a space where I hold my breath automatically. Good. Tilt that pelvis slightly forward. Pull your groins back. Get longer in your spine from the top of your sacrum. Get longer. Good. And then go ahead and walk your hands back in. Drag that heel back in, please. Lift the back knee up. Take your left leg up and back, down dog split. Good. And then bend the left knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the hip, open up. Nice. And really keep pushing through the arms. Really keep reaching through your side body. So you're still pulling your hips up and back in space. Nice, Fred. Good. And watch that right knee is not falling inward. Your supporting knee. Pull it a little wider. Good. I can see when it's working because your whole body's moved. Good, Mark. Good, you guys. Spin that left knee facing down, curl into your belly to do it, and then step your left foot forward between the hands again. Inhale the arms back up to the sky, high lunge. A little lighter than you were the first time. Good. Take the torso forward, parallel to the floor. Step up into warrior three. Take your right thigh parallel to the floor. All right, so the leg comes to match where the torso already is. Take your hands back behind your head. Good. And then turtle into your low ribs. So pull up and round into your back rib cage. Good. Round into your whole back body. Push up, push up, push up. And then press your head up into your hands and lift those collarbones forward. That's going to take that roundness out of your back a little bit, but it's not going to take any of the strength out. Good. Now extend the arms forward. Reach through the arms. Reach through the legs. Really good, you guys. Nice, Barry. Good, Ronnie. Nice, Pam. Good. Step all the way back. High lunge. Arms to the sky. Yes. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good job. Step back, downward facing dog. Really good, you guys. Don't get fatigued. Slide forward to plank pose, please. Upward push up. Good. So that same feeling that I had you do in down dog, do it here. Squeeze your feet and your hands towards each other. Good. So I want you to really feel energetically. Your hands and your feet are not going to move, but I want you to feel like you are pulling everything up towards that center. Good. And then navel in, push your hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Don't lose that feeling that I'm squeezing my arms and my legs towards each other. Good. And then rise up on the balls of your feet. Bring yourself forward into plank, still with that feeling that as I elongate my spine, I'm squeezing my hands and my feet towards each other. Lift your chest up, 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 up. Like you're trying to do up dog while you're in plank. Good. That's it. There you all go. Hello. And then pull the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Nice. One more time like that. Bring yourself up on your tippy toes. Come forward towards plank with that squeezing, armpits and hips, hands and feet towards each other. Lift the back of your heart, back of your throat, like you're doing up dog, but still in plank. Lift those collarbones up, up, up. Good. And then lower down slow to your belly. I know if you were praying for another down dog. Too bad. Rise up, cobra, please. Lifting head, neck, and chest. Drag those hands back. Good. And then release, please. Press back, downward facing dog. Really nice, you guys. Good. Step the right foot forward between the hands. Drop the back heel. Baby toe parallels the back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up to warrior two. Good. So you're watching that front knee, that it's moving wide towards the second toe of the front foot. Good. And then that might send your left hip spinning forward a little bit. That's fine. Just keep lifting the inner thigh up and back. And then move your left rib cage a little wider. So that's where the twist or the openness starts to come back in. Nice, you guys. Good. Send the left hand down the back thigh. Right hand comes up and back, reverse warrior. Good. Watch that that front knee didn't start to fall in once you started reaching back. Pull that knee a little wider again. Good. Catherine and Derek, knees a little wider. Awesome. And then come all the way back up to center, please. Good. Straighten that front thigh. Good. Watching where the knee goes, because it's going to have a tendency to roll in. So bend the knee again back to warrior two. Watch where it's tracking. Good. Feel what it's like to have to hug that outer hip in to keep that knee in alignment. And then watch your knee as you start to straighten your thigh. Don't let it roll in or out. Keep that awareness of your hip, of where it has to be engaged to keep your leg in that alignment. Good. Now reach forward for triangle. Extend out through your ribs. Don't let that knee fall in or out. Let the hand come down to rest, front leg, floor, or block. Don't let your knee fall in or out. Good. Nice. Throat back. What advice would you give to your previous self? What advice would you give your previous self that your previous self would be able to hear? That's the question. And a mind that it is in that unified state, that compassionate state, is that's how we learn to speak to ourselves, to each other, in a way that we can hear. Not with what we want to say, but in a way that the person listening can hear it, so that they can realize something. Good. Bend that front knee, release the hands down to the floor, please. Both hands inside the front foot. Keep that back heel where it is. Walk your hands to the left just a little bit until you start to feel resistance. Good. So you're still pulling that inner knee a little wide. Still got to point at the second toe. And then if your right butt cheek is popping out, which I almost guarantee that it is, pull it in towards that midline so it's in line with your ankle. Pull it in. That's it. Good, Sandy. A little further. Good. Pull that right hip back and in, Teresa. Nice. Beautiful, beautiful. Good. And then walk all the way to your left, please, until you come to the center of your mat. Straighten the legs. Turn your toes wide-legged. Forward fold. Prasarita Padottanasana. Should feel pretty good. Nice. Good, good, good. Push your inner thighs wide. Yeah, even here, it feels good to go into that passive. It's just a nice forward fold, but push your inner thighs wide and anchor your big toe mounts. Good. And then start to walk to your left. Turn your left toes towards the back of your mat. Bend the knee. Keep your right foot where it is. Cartwheel the arms up to warrior two. I know, you're facing the back of your mat. Never thought I'd have to practice looking at this part of my room. Set myself up specifically so I didn't have to. I know, it's just my mind saying that, not you. Find where that front knee is pointing towards the second toe. Good, and then move that right rib cage a little wider. Unified perspective, right? Whatever angle you are looking at a situation, it does not take you away from the truth. Your knee still has to point where it needs to point. Your back thigh still has to lift up. Your ribs still have to open. It doesn't matter what's in front of your face. Good. Right hand drops down the back thigh. Left palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. Nice. Really push that left inner knee a little wider, you guys, so that you stay in that position that is asking the outer hip and thigh to work. Good. Come all the way back up, please. Arms wide. Look at where your knee is pointing, so make sure it's pointing towards second or third toe. And then keep looking at it as you start to straighten your thigh so that you keep your knee pointing in the same place when your leg is straight. Good, and then keep your attention there as you reach for triangle. Extend through that left rib cage. Don't let that knee fall in or out. Let the hand come down to rest, front leg floor or block, right arm to the sky. Good. And if it's a pain in the butt to keep paying attention to the way that your knee is pointing, sorry. But this is how we start to engage meditation, a focused mind, unified mind. While you're going about your daily life, it feels awkward to pay attention to your life. It feels awkward to pay attention to yourself. It's much easier not to. But get used to it. Don't get fatigued. Are you still pulling that back thigh up and back? Are you still making sure that that front knee is pointing in the direction that you want it to? Is your throat still drawing back? Are you still breathing? Just curious. Good. One more breath, get longer, pull through your ribs. That's it. And then bend the left knee, please release the hands down to the floor. Keep that back heel where it is. Walk the hands inside the front foot, walk to your right just a little bit until you start to feel resistance. So your legs are back in that warrior two position and you're walking your hands to the right. So a little bit away from your front knee, not just towards the upper corner of your mat, towards the middle of your mat. Yeah, as you walk your hands towards the middle of your mat, you're going to feel that that front knee wants to fall in and your hip wants to push out to the side. So don't do that. Pull the hip in, keep the knee pointing at the second toe, but move your ribs, move your waist away from that left knee. Good. Nice, you guys. And then relax here. Beautiful. One more breath, let yourself drop a little deeper in. And then walk all the way to the right, please, until you come back to the center of your mat, straighten the legs, turn the toes. Nicely done. And a deep bow, still pushing the inner thighs wide. Good. Walk your hands back towards the top of your mat, so back towards the right, turn your right toes forward. Spin that back heel up. Good. Step back to downward facing dog. Beautiful. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Squeeze the feet and the hands towards each other. I want you to feel so powerful in plank because you're squeezing in, not because you're trying to push yourself into something that's bigger, but because you're squeezing in to what you've already got. So squeeze in, then lift your chest nice and high. Good. And then come up on your right fingertips. You can separate the feet a little bit if you need, but up on your right fingertips. So like a one-handed plank. Good. Chest still up. You've still got to squeeze everything. Don't let your hips swivel. Good. Release that hand down. Come up on your left fingertips. Yeah. And then release that down. Come up on your right fingertips. Good. Keep squeezing. Release that down. Come up on your left fingertips. Do not get fatigued. And then release up on your right fingertips. Yes. And then release up on your left fingertips. Until this is normal, we will continue. Release your hand. I'm just kidding. Stay there. Squeeze hands and feet. Roll forward a little bit further. Lower all the way down to your belly. Good. Rise up, cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Drag those hands back. Nice. And then release back to the belly, please. Good. Pause for a moment. Turn one cheek to the side if you'd like. Until it feels normal to be in a state of compassion. Keep putting yourself there. It's going to feel like there's weakness. It's going to feel like there's an impossibility to it. I can't stay this way. It's too hard. And that's just the mind. Can't possibly keep looking at people and trying to find my definition of good. You don't have to know the specific way that goodness lives in someone, even if they're acting terrible. You don't have to know. But you can hold a space where you believe, you sincerely believe that there is realization that can happen for them. The whole point is to take out the roots of hatred in you, to take out the roots of division in you. The other person's journey will take care of itself. Forehead to the floor, please. Hands behind your head, elbows wide. Good. Press down through the legs, please. Lift your elbows up off of the floor. Yep. And then drawing through that space of your low ribs, draw in up into your back body first, and then begin to lift head, neck, and chest, but keep your gaze down at the floor. So don't focus on trying to tilt the chin forward. Just push the back of your head straight up into your hands. Feel the power of your throat, the power of your upper back. Good. Legs to the floor. Do not squeeze your butt. Press into your legs and hug your legs. You can engage your glutes, but don't squeeze into your tail. Push up through the back of your heart, through the back of your head. Awesome. And then release the head back down to the floor. Nice job. Stretch your arms straight forward, please. Pressing through the front of the pelvis again. Float your legs up off of the floor. Again, with a feeling that my glutes are engaged, but I'm not squeezing my butt towards my tail. I actually have a wideness. Good. And then stretch the arms forward, lift head, neck, and chest. Bring the arms up as well. Good. Back of the heart up. Nice. Reach, reach, reach. Yeah. Keep extending through the inner edges of the legs. Keep reaching through the arms. Good. With your breath, rise a little higher. Yep. Nice. And then release, please. Good job. Plant the hands alongside you. Press up to hands and knees. Downward facing dog. Good. Right leg comes up and back, down dog split. Beautiful. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. Yeah, so again here, watching that your feet are not too narrow, right and left. Good. And then really curl into your low belly, everybody. Round into your back, push your hips up towards the sky. And then that left hip has to spin forward a lot. And your right low belly and right hip have to pull up a lot. Good. Yeah, find that. Katrin, way more lift on your right hip. Good. So most of you remember what it used to feel like when I adjusted you. So just imagine me really aggressively moving your left hip forward and your right hip back. Just imagine that. Good. Lovingly, but you know, I'm gonna move your hips. Beautiful, you guys. Deep breath in. And then come up on the heel of your front foot, please. So bring those toes up and drag that heel down and pull up from the top of your thigh, pull up from your low belly, pull up. I want you to feel like the internal muscles of your pelvis are pulling that thigh bone up into your core. Yeah. And then you're just lengthening your ribs forward. The thigh is doing the work. The internal self is doing the work. Good. And then release that foot to the floor, please, back to flat. Walk your hands back just a little bit behind the heel of your front foot. Again, blocks are fine, but walk your hands back a little bit. You can keep blocks under them if you'd like. Good, so you get nice and deep into your forward fold. And then you're gonna bend that knee gently, lean forward, step up to standing split, but keep your hands back behind your heels. Do not walk your hands forward. Yep. I want you in that deep forward fold as you come up into standing split. That's it, you got it, Mark. You just gotta come into standing split. Other way. There you go. Good. Pull that right low belly up and wide. Left hip still spins forward. Don't let those hands come forward. Beautiful. Pull up through your pelvis. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release that leg back behind you. Nice job. Walk the hands forward. Good. Step back, downward facing dog. Vinyasa if you choose. Child's pose if you prefer. So if you're going through the vinyasa, sliding forward to plank, lowering yourself down to your belly or through upward facing dog, out of chaturanga, rising up cobra. Good. Finding your way back, downward facing dog. Nice. Left foot steps forward between the hands. Right foot steps forward just a little bit so that both feet can come to flat, legs straight, Parsvottanasana, second side. Again, making sure your feet are wide enough, right and left. Absolutely stop and hug your dogs. Good. Nice, you guys. That outer right hip has got to spin forward. Your left low belly and hip has to push super wide. Good. Even more, Jan, pull that right hip forward. Other way. There you go. That's it. Good. And you're scooping and you're scooping and you're scooping through that low belly. You want to make as much space internally as possible for all of those connections of how your legs meet your pelvis, how your pelvis meets your back, how all of those things are interwoven. You make a lot of space and they start to find their ideal position. It's a physical yoga practice. We make space internally for there to be an ideal configuration of how the body works. So interconnected means I'm not just stretching my hamstrings in this position, as I'm putting my whole body into its optimal place for me to feel steady and relaxed while I'm here. And it means you have to stay engaged. You can't get fatigued. If you get fatigued, the position's not going to feel good. Good. Really squeeze the legs up, 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 and in. Come up on the heel of that front foot. Drag back and up. So again, it's those internal muscles that's pulling that thigh bone up into the pelvis. And that right hip is still spinning forward. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Almost like there's no weight on your hands. And then release that foot flat to the floor. Nice job. Walk your hands back a little bit more so your hands are coming back behind the edge of your front heel. Again, blocks are fine, but just move your hands back. That's going to bring you a little deeper into that forward fold. And I don't want you to use a lot of momentum as you come into standing split. So I want you to stay close in and have to use a lot of internal awareness to get into that balance. So send your weight forward. Right leg comes up, standing split, standing on your left leg. Keep your hands back behind your heel. Don't walk them forward. Good. Keep reaching back behind you. Been my metaphor all week, is that if you are reaching back always for who you think has not caught up to you yet, or even your past self, to everyone who is still struggling, that's compassion. I'm reaching for you, not trying to escape from you. Step all the way back, walk the hands forward. Nice job, you guys. Step both feet forward to the top of your mat, standing forward fold. Good. Bend the knees, please. Walk your hands up onto your thighs, cat, cow, and chair. Seem to be in a mode where you might not get a child's pose today. I don't know. I might have gone back into that. There's no such thing as child's pose anymore. Good. Nice. And then come to stillness, please. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Still in chair. Good. Push through your feet. Come all the way up to stand, please. Good. Right hand holds left wrist. Pull to your right. Good. Press through that left heel as you reach to the right. Then come back up to center, please. Switch your hands, reach the other direction. Don't let your hips sway from side to side. So Jeff, pull that right hip back in. Good. Press through that right heel as you're reaching. Good. Come all the way back up to center, please. Nice. Bend the knees again. Drop your hips back towards chair. So there's a feeling of widening the inner knees, but pressing through the big toe mounds. And then again, taking your groins back and lifting your low belly. And then hands to heart center, please. Prayer twist, right elbow to the outside of your left knee. I know you're twisting to your left first. Good. So the inner knees are pulling wide, but you're still hugging the shins in, so your knees don't go beyond your ankles. They stay right on top. Good. Come back to center. Don't change the chair. Twist the other way. Left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Moving your ribs. Dropping your hips. My rule in prayer twisting chair is your heart has to be higher than your butt. So drop your butt, lift your heart. Drop your butt, lift your heart. More, Marlene, you can. There you go. Thank you. Come back to center, arms to the sky, chair. Pull through your butt, pull through your armpits. Yes. And then fingers to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. Good job. Feet underneath your hips. So if they're together, separate your feet just a little bit. Right hand to left ankle or shin. Left arm to the sky. Good. Widen those inner knees. That pushing wide, you guys, from your inner knees and your inner thighs helps tremendously to not only create stability, but to open up that space of the outer hips and the outer thighs. So don't skip it. Release and come back to center. Go the other way. Left hand to outer right ankle, right arm to the sky. Good. Keep pulling your butt up towards the ceiling. Press your sacrum up towards the sky as you push your inner knees and your inner thighs wide. And then big toe mounts to the floor. Good, Kristen. Good. And then release that hand back down, please. Beautiful. Separate your feet as wide as your mat, toes facing straight ahead. Good. Bend your knees so your thighs parallel the floor. So pull your butt back. That's it. Yep. And then walk your hands back behind your heels. Yep, but drop your butt low. I should say in line with your thighs. Don't drop it too low because then you start to lose the length on your spine, on your low back. So you can either stay here if you want to play with a little arm balance. If your hands can comfortably come to the floor behind your heels flat, you can go ahead and let your hands come flat. Let the elbows bend just a little bit. You got to keep that internal lifting from your butt, lifting from your belly. Wiggle your feet towards each other, please. The thighs are resting on the backs of the arms. Maybe try and wiggle your feet towards each other. Hook the feet up off of the floor. So you're in like a little balancing sort of squat thing. Good. Nice. You got it, Harriet. Go for it. Butt up. Good. Falling is part of the process. Good job. Nice. Love it. Slowly unwind. Good job, you guys. Good job, Anne. Straighten the legs, bow forward. I know. You can stay where you are, Debbie. We're going to go into pigeon in a second, so you go onto your back for that. Good. Heel toe your feet a little closer, you guys. You already have your preview. Spoiler alert, you're going into pigeon. Plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog. Spoiler alert. Right leg up and back, down dog split. Good. Bring that knee forward and wide, pigeon. Good. And then walk that left leg back. And then for a moment, as you find your pigeon pose, stay upright, up on your fingertips. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Yeah, if you're doing pigeon on your back, no problem. Just go where you go. But if you are upright in pigeon, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee up. And then really pull that thigh forward. So I want you to use that same energy that you would in a lunge. Pull that thigh forward, lift the front edge of your pelvis up. So pull the legs together. Good, with the back knee lifted so that you get that full extension from the front of the thigh all the way back. Good. One more breath, squeeze the legs. Nice. And then release that back knee down to the floor. Walk yourself forward, take your favorite resting position. Good. You cannot forget the back leg in pigeon. Or at least it's advisable not to forget your back leg in pigeon. Focus on, well, it's the front leg that's the hip opener. That's the leg that's doing all of the, rotation. The back leg is doing a lot of extension. What happens there makes a big difference for how free your pelvis is going to feel, how balanced your pelvis is going to feel, right and left side. What happens with your back? Do not neglect the back thigh in pigeon. Even if you're in pigeon on your back, don't neglect that knee that you're holding behind the thigh. Don't neglect it. Push it back into your hands. Root the lowest part of your sacrum down to the floor. Good. One more breath where you are. And then if you're on your back, stay on your back. If you are in pigeon the traditional way, walk your hands back up, please. Sit onto that right thigh, swing your left leg around so you can stack your left knee on top of your right. If you're on your back, just take that right thigh all the way on top of your left. Separate the feet and reach for your ankles. Good. So you're in the same position. If you are seated, you just have the left leg on top of the right. And if stacking the knees doesn't work here, you can sit with the left shin in front of right, feet flexed. Or put a block underneath your seat. Good. And then walk yourself out towards the right edge of your mat if you're seated upright. So walk the right hand out beyond your right hip. Take the left arm over your ear, side body stretch. You got it. Good. Flex your feet. Good. Walk yourself back up to center if you're seated. Stay where you are if you're on your back. Walk your hands the other way. Left hand goes out beyond the left hip. Right arm comes over the other. Good. Keep moving your ribs slightly back in space. So Laura, move that left rib cage back. Open the left shoulder more. Now reach. There you go. And then walk your hands back up. Really good. Nice, you guys. Unwind the legs, please. Roll forward to hands and knees. If you're on your back, maybe take a pause with your feet flat to the floor because we're coming into pigeon on the other side. Downward facing dog if you are not on your back. Good. Pedal your feet if you'd like, but then when you are ready, left leg up and back, down dog split. Bring that knee forward and wide for pigeon. If you're on your back, left ankle comes on top of right thigh. Good. And then if you are in upright pigeon, please, before you settle yourself, stay on your fingertips, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Pull that thigh up, 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 but drop your pelvis down, down, down. That's it. So you're pulling the thigh forward, lifting the front edge of your pelvis up. So it's like your pelvis is trying to come more vertical. It wants to tilt this way, pull it up this way. There you go. Good, good, good. Squeeze the legs. It's my visual for you. And then release that knee back down to the floor. Good job. Walk yourself forward, whatever your resting pigeon happens to look like. And breathe very deeply. Earlier in the week, my Dharma was started by an article I read about pandas. We got from pandas to compassion. Instead of going into the whole story, I'll just give you the sort of explanation that it made me realize that, there's a level of complicatedness, a level of suffering that exists that I will never see, right? Because pandas are not part of my world in general. There's layers of experience that you yourself will never see, and yet in our minds, we think because of what we've gone through ourselves that we know something, that we have advice. So we stop feeling that bigness of being just connected to the experience of the world, suffering or not suffering. But if you can remember that you are already part of the wideness, the vastness of the world, and all of the ways that there is suffering that's happening that you will never play a direct part in. But you know that because you've been able to transcend or move through your own challenges, that there is a way through it. And someone will be there to meet that challenge. It does not have to be you, but you hold space for the goodness to be realized, for the solution to be realized. So compassion is I remember that even though I may never encounter one in any meaningful way, still connected to pandas, still connected to who I was and all the other beings in the world that struggle. If you're on your back, stay where you are. If you're in pigeon, walk your hands back up. And then sit onto that left thigh, please. Swing your right leg around so you can stack the right knee on top of your left. So Gomukhasana, knee on top of knee. If you're on your back, just slide the right leg, or whichever leg is on top at this point, left leg on top of your right. Good. Everyone is in Gomukhasana, either on your back holding the ankles or sitting upright. And if knee on top of knee doesn't work, it's shin in front of shin, feet flexed. Beautiful. Then take your hands back behind you if you are seated upright. Press into your hands. Pull your chest higher. As you pull your chest higher, press your seat down. The groins go down and in. Good. The chest is lifted wide. Compassion is the state that I reach for unity, even with the pieces of the world that I myself have no true knowledge of. Good. Walk the hands back up, please, or release the hands. Unwind the legs. If you're on your back, bring your knees in towards your chest. Roll up to sit. Good. Bring your knees wide. If you're seated, bring the bottoms of the feet together. Everybody, knees wide to Baddha Konasana. Good. Taking the arms up to the sky. Flex your feet. Press your baby toes down, press your groins down, lift up a little taller through the back of your sacrum. Squeeze your knees up just a little bit. So from the tops of your thighs, squeeze up. That's it. And then keep that squeezing and start to bow forward between the knees. So extend forward. Again, tilting your pelvis. So tilting, tilting, tilting. Sending your tail back, sending your groins back, but squeeze those knees up. And extend, 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 extend. I didn't say put your hands down. There you go. Keep extending, keep pulling. Good. Nice spread. Nice line. Extend more. Good. And then let those heels, sorry, not those heels, let those knees drop wide. Release the squeeze. Let your hands drop down. Relax. Good. We can just admit to ourselves that we're already part of the world. You can just admit to yourself that all of the things in your mind that you use to distract, that you use to push away parts of the world that don't make sense to you. You just stop, and things are just what they are. And compassion is not as hard as we imagine it to be. We have to erase those places where we are continuously trying to put up a wall between this and that, between me and you. I know something that you don't. Walk yourself back up. Good. Bring the knees up, please. Scoot forward. Come on down to your backs. Bend your knees, plant your feet. Good. And arms alongside you, either in robot arms, elbows bent, or arms straight. Your choice. Good. And feeling your heels dragging back towards your butt, feeling your butt pulling towards your heels. Good. Lift from your inner armpits, pull up to lift the chest. Press back through the back of your throat. So almost that same action when you were doing it as a back bend, but now you're reversing it. So chin neutral and press long through your throat, back of the head presses down. And then lift your ribs, lift your hips, come up into bridge. Good. Again, with that feeling that you are squeezing the upper back and the feet towards each other. And at the same time, you are arcing that front part of the body so that there's a lengthening. Nice. And then release the hips down to the floor. Good. So same thing again, set yourself up well. Feel the squeeze of I'm drawing my arms down, I'm pressing down through my throat, I'm pulling my armpits up, squeezing my heels back. And then lift the armpits, lift the ribs, lift your hips, come back up into bridge. And as you push down into your arms, don't get focused on that squeeze behind the heart, but actually squeeze your lower armpits and then widen your chest. So pull your collarbones wide. Nice. And then take your right leg to the sky. There you go. Push up through that heel. Nice, Debbie. Good. Good, Elisa. Alana, flex that foot. That's it. Good. Now keep the hips lifted, but bring that leg forward in line with your left knee. So extend it out at an angle. Yeah, but hips lifted. Good. And then bring it all the way back up. Nice. And then plant that foot back down to the floor. Lower the hips to the floor. Yeah, what throws you off balance, right? Oh, I was comfortable in the way that I do bridge until you told me to lift the leg. Uh-oh. One more time, set those arms, set the feet, drag your hips towards your heels, lift from your armpits, lengthen your throat. Take your armpits up, take your ribs up, take your hips up. Bridge. That whole feeling of elongation, don't lose it. That whole feeling of I'm widening my chest, I'm pressing through my heels, don't lose it. Take your left leg to the sky. Nice, hips up. Keep dragging that right heel towards your butt. Pull your butt towards your heel. Nice. And then hips stay just as lifted. They don't come down. Bring that left leg forward in line with the right knee. Extend out. Pull up through your ribs. Get wide through your chest. Long throat. And then from that low place of your navel, pull that leg back up to straight. That's it. And then place that foot back down to the floor. Release the hips. Nicely done. Pause there for a moment. Don't immediately pull your knees in towards your chest. Just rest. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bring the knees in towards the chest, please, giving your spine a moment to just find itself. Good. And then cross right thigh on top of left. Wrap the thighs and the shins in eagle. And then left arm over top of right in front of your chest. Wrap the arms in eagle. Don't let your hands fall onto your face. Lift them up. Good. Find your lower back anchored to the floor. Good. And Derek, it looks like maybe you just have your ankles crossed. Try to cross the whole thigh. There you go. Yeah, all the way up, all the way up. There you go. Yes. Thank you. Gives you a little bit more hip stuff. Good. You feel happy here? No? Doesn't matter. Take another breath. Low back to the floor. Good. And then as you exhale, your next exhale, bring the elbows and knees towards each other, round into your back body. So not with the intent of I've got to squeeze my abdominals, but can I round into my back body, curl into myself. Good. And then slowly release, please. Take the arms out wide, hug the knees in. Yes, that didn't make any sense. I was going somewhere different, so never mind. Unwind the legs, pull your knees in towards your chest. Never mind. And then go to the other side. So take the left leg over top of the right, wrap the thighs, wrap the shins. Good. Try not to double wrap the ankles though. If you have that ability, try not to do it because I want you to really just focus on the squeezing of the inner thighs and the outer shins. And then right arm is on top of left in front of your chest. Again, not letting the hands fall onto the face. Feel the wideness of your upper back so your armpits are drawing down. Your lowest part of your sacrum is drawing down, so you might even have to bring your knees a little further away from your belly to begin so that you get the whole length of your spine. So a little bit of abdominal work. Good. And then you're just breathing there. Good. Right? The whole work of a spiritual practice is to just put yourself in that position of openness and breathe there and watch how much you try to disrupt it. Watch how much your mind tries to disrupt unity. Watch how much you try to disrupt an easy breath. You just be here. Good. Next exhale, please bring the elbows and the knees towards each other. Squeeze in. I know some of you are like, nope, that's where I give up. It's all right. Unwind, please, releasing. Good. Bring the knees in towards your chest. Come into happy baby, knees wide, reaching for the ankles or the shins. Go back to the floor. This is the funny thing about practicing at home is we're way willing to give up easier than we would if we were in studio space. That's why we need each other. Because the places where I will give up on myself, I am far less willing to give up on you. At least if I like you, that's what's true. The compassion is being in that state with everyone, even if you're not sure that you like them. I will not give up on knowing that there is a way for you to realize truth the same way I myself am realizing what I didn't know before, what I didn't understand. Bring the bottoms of the feet together, please. Heels in towards your groin. Don't drop the hips to the floor. Don't drop the feet. Stay lifted. The heels in towards your groin, Baddha Konasana. Good. And then bring the knees back together. Please hug the right knee in towards your chest. Extend the left leg out on the floor. Come into spinal twist. So bring the knee across the body. Good. Right arm can go wide or up alongside the ear. And then optional if you want to go for that quad stretch with the left leg that is extended. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Reach right hand for the left ankle. Good. And then you're dropping that right shoulder back down towards the floor. Nice, Ronnie, you got it. Good. And then slowly unwind, release that quad stretch if you have it. Come back to center, hugging the right knee in towards the chest. And then send it down to the floor. Bring the left knee in. Come into spinal twist. Left arm goes back behind you or up alongside the ear. Either one works. If you want to go for that quad stretch for the right leg that is extended out, bend the knee, kick your heel towards your butt, reach left hand for the ankle. The idea that we know something. We've got it figured out. If everyone could just do what we already know, the world would be a better place. Maybe. What we think we know compared to what we still don't understand. That gap is huge. If we rest on only the knowledge that we've gained through our own personal experience, but we lose that sense of being interconnected to the vastness of what we have not personally known, we're going to get stuck. Unwind that twist, please. Come all the way back to center, hugging the knees in towards the chest, please. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees, squeeze. And then releasing the upper back, stretch the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you, palms facing up, feet dropping open. Prepare yourself to be a resting place for dogs and cats and whatever else lives in your home. Shavasana. Prepare yourself to be a resting place. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. And your body begin to stretch, move, whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest. Roll to your right side. Take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm, or whatever mudra has been serving you well. And contemplate, what advice would you give to your previous self? And how would you say it in a way that your previous self could hear it and actually do something with it? Because if you're looking at the world in a way where you are seeking unity, you're seeking a way for there to be understanding. And you're holding the awareness that just as you are continuing to realize what's true and necessary for your own peace and happiness, so is everybody else. So you keep that open space where you are reaching back for those that are struggling in ways that you think you've already gotten through. You leave that space that you're still reaching forward for those that you think are so much further ahead than you are. Because that state of reaching is what the practice is, not knowing. In the state where I'm continuously reaching for unity, I'm continuously trying to understand what that means as a reality, not as a concept. So I'm dissolving the places in me that put difference between where I am and where you are. So instead, there's only the knowledge that I'm already part of this world, and what I cannot touch personally, maybe it's living through you, and we can both realize how to move through it together. We're both going the same direction. So we keep reaching back for each other, and we keep reaching forward for each other, and we keep reaching because you're only ever reaching for yourself. So think about that. What advice would you give to the world in a way that the whole world can hear it and realize something? We'll close the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week until I see you again. Please do take a look at the emails and all the cool stuff that's coming on, that's coming up soon. Website is being reconstructed, so keep checking on that. It's going to look really good. And if you're staying for meditation, you don't have to leave. You can just stay on, or feel free to come off and get back on. Otherwise, I will see you when I see you.
Thanks, Veronica.
Thank you, Veronica.